I wrote a poem. I'm going to share 3 poems with you today. This first poem is called When I Sleep. And this is what I told her, breaking down basically how I was feeling with my nightmares. So when I sleep. Last night, I dreamt that I was falling, head first from an Air Force jet, plummeting towards Earth, no parachute, falling faster than the wind, ripping off my skin, exposing every single part of me, every part, to the point of, and I woke up soaking wet, panicked, grasping for breath, arms stretched in the air, feet resting on the headboard. When I sleep upside down to know that I am grounded. My soul's rooted in reality, no matter where the nightmares take me. Last week, I dreamt that I was being chased down a sliver of paved blacktop road, surrounded by the desert sand, closing in on me as I ran, slowing my momentum, swallowing me down whole, up to my neck, quicksand. I could not move, paralyzed, scared, determined. I will not die over here. I will make it back. America is my home, not Iraq. I fought back, trained for combat, kicking in my bed, kicking in my dream with as much force possible, jamming my toe into the headboard until I broke free of the sand. I broke free of the dream, and I woke up screaming from the pain. Fear pumping through my veins. Eyes opened, I saw the ceiling, and I knew that it was a dream only. When I sleep upside down, feet resting on the headboard, to know that I am grounded. My soul's rooted in reality, no matter where the nightmares take me. Thank you. And after I read that poem to my therapist, like I said, I've been seeing her for 10 years, something clicked. And finally she told me, she said, Mr. Columbus, I'm gonna do everything in my power to get you your service connection. And I was baffled because I was like, well, what have I been doing for the past 10 years every Friday when I don't work on Fridays and I come here to the VA to see you? If all that it took was for me to write a poem, I would have did this a decade ago. So that just shows us one way that the power of art, you never know, it transcends things. You never know who might hear what you're saying through art versus when you're telling them in a conversation. And also, I'm a photographer as well. And what I like about photography was when I was in New York City, there were some days when I was feeling isolated and I didn't want to talk to people. And through the camera, I could be standoff and do street photography. But the days when I did want to be around people, I could do portrait photography. And one thing with portrait photography, what I loved is I was always anxious, but through the lens, it was a barrier. And through that, I could be a photographer and not this scared Omar and trying to figure out who he was. No, now I'm an artist. So that's why I love one thing, how art does things for me. And the next poem I'm going to share with you is called White Marker. And this poem is special to me because this poem was one of the ways first way I would be able to tell and share with my family about what it was like for me to go over to the Middle East and fight in Iraqi freedom. And through poetry, I was able to take words that scared me like bomb and missiles and all these things. Now I was able to dissect these words and put them in a creative way versus letting the words just be destructive in my head. So this is my poem called White Marker. My morals feel divided like this nation, half delusional and in a state of rage. If all men are created equal, then I am both betrayer and betrayed. Military conflict is sometimes depicted as morally simplistic. Weapons of mass destruction, AKA WMDs. President Bush sent us in to destroy them and bring a regime to its knees. We introduced the GBU-10, AKA 2,000 pounds of American go fuck yourself. Collateral damage, a natural part of war, but I signed the kiss of death. 4 bombs I signed. People died. And daily, I wake up and I have to deal with that. And I can't take that back. You see, on a guided tour of the bomb dump, after standing before the board, I was selected as quarterly superior performer, and this was my award. Laser-guided munitions bunkered deeply in the sand, destined for destruction, a shocking awe across a land. A sea of elliptic capsules. From any I could choose, I chose 4 of them and 1 white marker, and I wrote Saddam Hussein some news. On 1 bomb, I wrote my closest family members' names. On another bomb, I wrote, North Carolina brings the pain. I wrote, greetings Saddam, not in a letter, but on a bomb. On deployment, fighting war in Iraq. With a white marker, I wrote my mama's name and personal quotes on munitions dropped in coalition air attacks. From a moment of pride, a smile captured in a frame, expeditionary valor, a precursor to pain. In the hellish heat of an Arabian day, a bobtail truck tugged bombs away towards the flight line and stopped in front of an eagle. At maximum weapons loadout, the F-15 slowly taxied out to the end of the active runway. Bombs turned lethal. Afterburners glowed like cigarettes at night. Fireballs shot from the ass. The angry bird lifted off fast and heavy to prey upon Baghdad. High above the Iraqi skies, the eagle soared in flight. Air controller gave command, time to start the fight. Heads up display, razor sharp vision. Target acquired, locked on. Initial point, level toss. Release bombs. 4, 3, 2, 1. Impact. Target, Saddam's Imperial Guard headquarters. Battle damage assessment, total kill. Collateral damage, minor. Fiery pellets from above made craters in the ground. Debris was scattered through the streets. Body parts were blown around. And those bombs that I signed, jettisoned from a jet. They hit their targets and stole lives. And I'm haunted by that. I struggle each morning contemplating how to forgive. Myself for writing on the bombs, I autographed the kill. And in the aftermath of the airstrike, the only thing that remained were fragmented pieces of American bomb, and in white marker, my mama's name. Thank you. And that poem was a way that I was able to share it with my family and let them know that I wrote their names on a bomb and dropped them on people. And at that time when I was doing it, it was the coolest thing in the world. But now I didn't realize later that my morals were injured. Because I grew up in the South where thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not steal. So now I'm dropping bombs on people, and just personally and emotionally, how do you deal with that? And I'm grateful to have art and poetry to be able to write through the things that I'm struggling with. And I have one more poem that I'm going to share with you today. It's called Camouflaged Heart. And I wrote this poem while I was, right before I left New York City. And just basically, I wrote it in a writing workshop called Poetic Theater Productions Veteran Voices. And basically, it was a culmination of different things I've been through my time in the military and once I got out of service as well. So this poem is called Camouflaged Heart. War makes humans human. Conflict is universal. From the beginning, there was war. Before I was born and lifetimes afar. Battles rage as mankind ages, yet never learns from past mistakes or from stories of those who live to tell of what war remains, a living hell. I had never been more present than at that moment, standing there in a desert land, hearing a foreign language I could not understand, camouflaged dressed so that I could blend in, desensitized to suffering and pain, only a camouflaged heart remained. A predator drone loitered above, waiting to dehumanize the enemy. With my weapon in hand, encircled by sand, requesting a drone strike, reports of Taliban. Drone sights locked on to an evading man, left his truck in the sand, and away he ran. But with crosshairs locked on, the moving target engaged, coordinates called in, hellfire missiles rained. Dust and blood splattered and settled, my life forever changed. It's the things you can't see that hurt me the most. Only a camouflaged heart remained. I'm no longer a warrior, now a veteran, seeking renewal and transitioning to peace. But still, dreams of war knock at my door. I try not to let them in. They invade, they conquer, they win. The guilt that comes from surviving, isolating. Comrades did not make it back alive, hyperventilating. My nightmares evolve into daymares. No one sees, no one cares. What I've experienced, what I've done. I was once an asset, now a liability. Medicate the veteran. Keep him numb. In a country broken into pieces, currently, I see no peace. I'm constantly worried about mankind because the next man may not be kind. I deployed in defense of a nation and returned home to unemployment and discrimination. And for walking while black, I've been stopped and frisked, racial profiling, the determination. I went from military to civilian, lost in translation. My world flipped upside down, forced reintegration. Prior disciplined to post-stressed with deteriorated motivation as I watch elected officials disrespect our veteran services, oh, the ultimate humiliation. And after 12 years of honorable service, I wake up daily, a black man in America feeling nervous. And yes, I'm still in pain. You just can't see it, because only a camouflaged heart remains. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening to my words and let me share my story. I really appreciate it, and we need more of this. We need more of this. We need more of this. Thank you, Steve, for getting me out here. I really appreciate you. You've been good to me since I've been to California, and thank you again. Everybody have a wonderful day, and thank you for listening.